Hola.
Hey, Rom. So are you picking spells?
Oh, I
She
didn't.
hasn't said anything since she's been in here. She may not be there.
I heard her early. I mean, no,
Hello?
I saw her typing earlier.
Hello? Hello, 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 hello.
That would be why I didn't respond to you if you said anything. I wasn't trying to be rude. I just was being.
He just was rude.
Hello?
Yep, there we go.
There she is.
So are you rolling for HP, or are you just going to take the average?
It's what, 1d8 plus con?
Yep.
I gotta look at what my stats are.
It would be 9 plus 1d8 plus 1. Or alternatively, you could just have 6, 9, 15 HP.
I'll settle for that.
Do you want me to put my AC and passive down like Rex has it?
Sure.
My AC is garbage. Can I grapple and still have a shield out of curiosity?
Yes. And in fact, I've told Rex this, by the way. I'm fairly loose when it comes to like mechanics wise. Like, I'm not one of those DMs who are like, oh, you can't fucking do that because you have a sword in one hand and a shield in the other hand. Like, to me, like, grapple isn't like a like unarmed. For example, he was asking me about unarmed combat, and I basically told him that you don't need a free hand to unarmed combat. You can kick people, you can headbutt people, you can try and trick them out.
This was passive.
Similarly goes for grapple. Like, I'll let you grapple 2 people easily if you have 2 free hands. Beyond that, like, I'll let you do it if you can describe to me how you're grappling them.
Oh, that's fantastic, because I want to do the coconut headbutt thing. We grab 2 dudes and slam their heads together.
Sure.
What is my passive? Isn't it like, how do I measure it? It's been forever.
It's 10 plus your perception.
So 12. Man, I just rolled bad. Well, I rolled solid stats, nothing super fancy.
See, I only roll stats if we're like using Bruni's rules that he likes. You know, the 215s. Otherwise,
I mean, like my initial stats. I could have done the point buy, but I couldn't help myself. And smartly, I could have switched my dex and strength to give myself 16 AC, but I'd rather be super strong and just be dumb and take a beating with my rages.
So we have a pure frontline combatant, big meat stick, sack of hit points.
I plan on doing a lot of grappling and just holding stuff for people.
We've got explosion wizard. We've got a amnesiac druid, and we've got whatever the fuck Rex is.
like some kind of living flashlight. Yeah.
I'll be a little bit honest, Robin. I'm a little bit disappointed that you didn't roll Callista. But no, it's fine.
I can roll Callista if you want me to do Callista.
No, it's fine. You do whatever you feel is fine.
I feel like playing like the little kid with a bunch of little animals is going to be more fun at the moment, though.
Yep.
Compared to Callista, the demonic-looking druid, with all these cute little fuzzy, clear wisps of animals around her.
Yeah, but aren't the little cute animals murdering things?
They could.
I'm always about Weasel Storm.
That's basically what it is.
I saw a thing last night about the most broken combo in 5e is instead of summoning the weasels, you summon I think like pixies or fairies, and you summon 8 of them, and they each can cast polymorph once a day. So basically, you do that and you turn your entire party into a bunch of T-Rexes because there's 8 of them, so they can polymorph each one. And then, we're all of a sudden T-Rexes. We're going to eat everything.
Does that work?
I
I got a
mean,
feeling that it doesn't.
you can't use it in Adventurers League because you can't summon fairies, but you summon 8 fairies. They each can do once per day polymorph. I mean, as a DM, you could always say that they don't get polymorph if they don't know that T-Rex exists.
I got a feeling that doesn't work because fairies don't have that high challenge rating and they can't polymorph things.
It's something low.
You
It's not
can't
fairies,
polymorph things that are lower than your level, right?
Then it's pixies. It's like 1/8 the CR or something.
Pixies, yeah, pixies get polymorph. They are 1/4 CR, which means they can only polymorph 1/4 CR rating creatures. So that wouldn't work anyway.
I don't know. All I know is I'm pro Wheel Storm for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, T-Rex is challenge rating 8, yeah. But yeah, they could still polymorph you into something else that's 1/4 challenge rating. That's simple enough. Let me look up the specifics of polymorph.
Yeah, doesn't the target need to be under 1/4, or am I remembering that incorrectly?
The new form can be any beast whose challenge rating is equal or less than the target's or the target's level if it doesn't have a challenge rating. Oh, okay. Well, then you'd still have to be level 8.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were level 8. That's what it was.
I mean, that's not really that big of an amazing combo, though. Because pixies are pretty easy to kill. Although I suppose they can just go invisible, right? No, invisible is a concentration spell as well.
I mean, they could just go into total cover, couldn't they?
I like the guy who's running the video. His cure for it was let him do it once or twice, and then once word gets out, either have like the Lord of the Fae come around to ask why he keeps bothering their fairies, or have someone who hears about it want to challenge him, and he basically does the same thing, but he turns his group into a bunch of Triceratops. Like, we've heard about what you do. We want to challenge it and Triceratops.
I mean, yeah, they literally have 1 hit point, so any kind of AoE would knock that out.
Also, if you can make the druid lose con, then it drops as well.
Yeah.
All the fairies go bye-bye.
Like it's a fun concept and it's a funny idea, but it's not really that practical. Right, I'm gonna go grab a drink and we'll get started in a moment. Hey Pete, did you fall asleep when we were playing Space Engineers?
No. Yes. Maybe.
I heard you say something and then you just jumped off Discord.
I went to get lunch.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
And I had lunch and I was lying on the couch and then my alarm for like 3 o'clock went off and I was like, what the fuck?
You have an alarm for 3? Yeah, I've had an alarm for 3 o'clock. Never mind.
Only because I've been sleeping so much in the last week. Still not like 100%, so.
See, you know you have a problem when you have an alarm for 5:30 p.m.
I mean, I have an alarm for my D&D games, but that's different.
I had an alarm set for 4:30 because I took a nap. But I've been up before that. It was like, do I want to go to the store now, or do I want to take a nap and then go to the store after? I was like, well, I'll just go up and get it. I guess I'll get it when I get up.
I've got way too many alarms.
Right, let me know when you're done, Robin.
I'm basically done. I'm just doing the odds and bits now.
Okay. Well, first, I guess we'll introduce the players. So Pete over here is my DM for my Kiwi DM for my Monday and Thursday games.
Hello.
Rex is one of the players in the Monday and Thursday games.
Also, hello.
Rum is my Florida friend. It is Florida, right? I always.
Oh yeah, we're crazy as shit down here.
Yep, he's Florida man, the quintessential Florida man.
I actually knew someone who was on Florida Man for the subreddit. I was like, well, that proves it. We're all effing crazy. We all know someone.
And Robin is shit. I always forget where exactly you are. Somewhere in the south.
Oh no, I'm in Indiana.
Where the fuck is?
It's like in the middle, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
Midwest.
underneath
Middle
Not
left?
Midwest, it's the middle.
Basically, find the biggest lake thing you can find in North America, and I'm right underneath it, basically.
Oh, you're near Ohio, right?
Yes.
My auntie lives in Ohio.
Is it the one under Illinois?
No, it's the one to the right of Illinois, but left to Ohio.
Yeah, I've been to Ohio. I think I've actually been to Indiana as well.
Indy
They
500
love the
people.
college basketball.
Indy 500
Isn't like-
and basketball.
isn't like Cincinnati like right on the border of Ohio, Indiana, and something else?
No.
Or I must be thinking of something else. Never mind. uh, but yes, so we'll get started. This campaign is called NEx Crawl. It's based very loosely on the West Marchian hex crawl kind of concept. It is largely exploration based, with an element of I like sandboxiness. There's obviously factions and other political entities and characters running around, NPCs running around, doing their own thing. So as you guys, travel and rest and do stuff and elapse time, the world will subtly or majorly change around you depending on what happens. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're obligated to pursue any line of like quest or inquiry. Basically, if something interests you guys, just poke in that direction, and I'll expand further in that direction. And if you have no interest in that particular area, then just leave it alone, and we will leave it alone.
So, to clarify, this campaign relies a lot on us being proactive and pushing the plot, does it?
Yes, it does.
So we can't just react to things that come up. We need to sort of pick a direction. Is that correct?
Yeah. Ideally, the more you guys push a direction, especially one that you're interested in, the more I will just like expand further in terms of lore and story and quests and stuff in that direction. So saying that, those of you who, I think I've explained this to most of you now, but I'll go through the very basics of it again. Welcome to the Nexus. The Nexus is the only civilization, or so they like to think, that exists on the material plane. Sorry, Pete. What was that? Little do they know. No.
School shadowing makes me pee my pants.
No, but yeah, so they like to think that they're the only major civilization on the material plane, and this civilization lives in one gigantic interconnected city. Think in terms of like lore-wise, pulling from other genres. Think something like Mega City 1 from the Judge Dredd series. It's this giant sprawling metropolis that's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles in diameter. It consists of identically sized 1 mile hex enclaves. Each enclave is, I think, split up in, it's either 64 blocks or 32 blocks. I forget the math exactly. But each enclave is hexagonal in shape. In fact, I'll actually bring you guys to what Rum and others know as my characteristic doodle page.
It's time
Doodle
for Rum's
page.
drawings.
Man, I miss that friggin' Minotaur. He was beautiful.
All right, so like I said, each very roughly, each enclave is in hexagonal in shape, like that. And beside each, typically, especially closer to the core of the Nexus, every enclave has 6 neighboring enclaves, 1 on each face. My apologies. I think I have dynamic lighting enabled. How about now?
Oh, I feel like we're in Tron.
Yeah, so each enclave has 6 neighboring enclaves. and on each one of its facings. And these edges of these enclaves are faced with giant 6-story tall, hundreds of feet wide portals. So big that if you're standing too close to the portal, you wouldn't even realize that there's a portal interface there. It just seems like you're looking down the street into the next block. Each enclave itself is located somewhere physically in the material plane, far separated from each other, sometimes by hundreds of miles, sometimes by thousands of miles, sometimes across oceans, across continents, etc. But however, they are all interconnected by these portals, these portal gates between the separate enclaves. So when you're inside the Nexus, there's an illusion that it's just one interconnected city, but each individual enclave is actually separated somewhere else. At the center of each enclave is a anchor house. It is a almost like pantheonic dome-like structure with pillars, open spaces, open arches. At the center of these, there's this like oracle-like dome-like pantheonic structure is a big platform. And this platform is attached to something called the tether. The tether is this magic cable that runs for, it varies, but typically it's about a mile. It runs down under the enclave, stretching all the way to the ground. Yes, the enclaves themselves are floating cities in the air. And whereupon these tethers attach to an obsidian pyramid at the very base, called the Anchor Stone. Typically, there are also like settlements and constructions built around the Anchor Stone down on the surface, down tether. But in general sense, how the civilization, how the Nexus functions is that everything down below is like production. So fishing, lumber, farming, etc. That's all done down tether. And then the towns around the anchor stones are typically like sawmills and tanning vats and windmills and processing stuff. And once the goods are processed and packaged and stuff, they're sent up tether into the Nexus, whereupon they travel through from portal to portal, from enclave to enclave, until they reach their market destination. So you'll have enclaves that specialize in like ironworks. Like there's this enclave that's situated over this massive ore vein that the dwarves are mining out, and there's like smelters and forges and stuff down tether. And once they finish making the iron bars and tools and armor, they send it up tether and then export it around to enclaves that are situated, that don't have that kind of production. They're farming enclave or fishing enclave or etc. So occasionally, every year or so or a month or so, some enterprising company or a group or faction secures the resources and the permits required to send out an expedition with I forgot what I called them, Rex. Founding stone or what did I call it?
Called what exactly? Sorry.
It's like the anchor stone. Like they get sent out with a device that
the obsidian lance.
Yeah. This obsidian lance, like this foot-long obsidian lance, and this expedition travels on foot, which is nearly unheard of by anyone who lives in the Nexus, obviously, because when you can simply go up tether, travel from enclave to, like 6 enclaves down the road, and then go down tether and be thousands of miles away from where you were 2 or 3 hours ago, why would you bother walking from anywhere on the material plane? So these explorers, these expeditions, they set out from an enclaves down tether somewhere on the very edges of the Nexus, and they start just traveling out and exploring the wilds. And when they find something of note or of interest that would be worth a lot of money to someone, they set down this obsidian lance, and it somehow magically creates a new tether and a new enclave that's connected to the Nexus. That's where you guys come in, people like you. So once they have established the linkage and created this new enclave, various companies and groups start sending out groups of people called wayfarers, which are what you guys are. And the job of the wayfarer is to explore the newly opened enclave and its surroundings down Tether. And then claim, not really claim, but like, we'll get to that. Basically scout out resources, scout out landmarks, possible dangers, natives, ruins, etc. That's your job. So to set it up a little bit, how you guys are arriving, you guys are traveling to the end of a chain of relatively new enclaves. So the eldest of the chain, the enclaves on this chain, is like 7 to 8 years old. And the newest one, the one that you're traveling to, right at the end of the chain, called Verdant Green, is only a month and a half old. You pass through various enclaves of various natures, through whatever conveyance you'd like to imagine. The horseless carriage, flying carpet, dog sled team, construct with a big platform on its back. You know, Nex is a strange place. Such things exist. And you pass through, of note, the three enclaves on the end of this chain are I have to look it up. Bad DM. Are Shifting Sands. Shifting Sands, and then going west, Deep Blue, and then going southwest, Verdant Green. So, actually, I'll just edit this. Black's not a good color. All right, so the reason, so there we go. You guys are at Verdant Green. Whilst you were passing, the reason why I bring up these three specifically is, whilst you were passing through Shifting Sands, you notice a distinct presence of an additional evidence of guards and soldiers and stuff, and they seem to be on edge. They seem to be like searching, like all of your conveyances, your carriages and stuff got inspected and searched through, and you were asked to present papers and stuff. This is odd because typically you only find this kind of inconvenience in enclaves deeper to the core that are owned by specific powerful factions who want to kind of like deter just casual people traveling through their enclaves. Maybe they want extra security. Maybe they just don't like strangers. But one of Nexie's edicts, the god who's in charge of the Nexus, one of her edicts is that all citizens of the Nexus will have free passage through any enclave. So the way that these various factions get around it is that, yes, you're technically allowed to pass through their enclave, but that doesn't mean that like they can't impose their own security precautions and like inspections and paperwork and even fees. although that's a bit more rare. So you wouldn't expect to see this kind of interference through traveling this far out from the core. But there you go. Shifting sands, lots of guards inspecting your carriage, inspecting your bags, asking you business. But however, none of you get stopped for very long, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes before the guards eventually wave you off and you continue passing through your way. Would all of you like to roll me a perception check?
Can I roll military general to work out what they're doing?
How rude were these guards when they were like stopping us and searching us?
I wouldn't say rude. I would say roll me an insight check as well. In your case. Okay, yeah. They seem snappy, Honu.
They seem professional, not rude. Because if they were rude, after 15 minutes, I would have just lifted up my sarong and say, "Look, I'm not hiding anything. Let me fucking through, brother."
Oh God, these people are going to be so offended. No. So Hal, you off your long ears. That's racist.
You know, I take offense.
Racist. Don't worry, I got dibs on the racist calling.
No, but you off your heightened elven senses overhear the tones and the conversations of the various guards, and there's like a lieutenant speaking to a sergeant and 3 privates, and you don't overhear the precise conversation between them, but you catch enough keywords and connotation that you can put together what's happening. You may or may not know this. You probably do. With your background, you probably do. Shifting Sands the location was picked because the Enclave sits over a massive sprawling desert. And the massive sprawling desert has one distinction, is that it has a single oasis. For hundreds of miles, there is one single oasis. Quite a big one. And they decided to put this anchor house here, but instead of using it like you wonder what would the Nexus want with a tether, with an enclave over a pond in a desert. What they decided to do is they decided to send criminals and political dissidents and other sort of unwanted riffraff.
It's an Alcatraz.
Yes, it's an Alcatraz.
Surrounded
Or
by
like in Australia. This is a big Australia.
Yeah. But basically. No. This is the first session of a new campaign. We're not going straight into racism and
Well, no, hey, you're all Kiwis, right? I think we're allowed to bash Australia, correct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can see his logic there, kid. What are you talking about?
Uh-huh. Sure. But
yay,
yes.
Yay, Australia's boot.
But yes, you overhear, Hal, specifically that there's a conversation being had, and you gather the context that there's been some sort of some sort of a riot, or some sort of
a kind of rebellion.
Yeah, like a prisoner riot. Someone might have taken over some portion of the town down thither, and the guards are just on the edge and guarding against people trying to force their way, prisoners trying to force their way up thither into the enclave, and they're just checking people in case you're harboring fugitives that are escaping and stuff.
I mean, trying to infiltrate up tether sounds like the least traumatic kind of infiltration ever. You're patiently sitting in a fucking elevator, just being really angry
for an hour.
Yeah.
Do. Guys, when we get up there, we'll plan on the trip up.
Yeah.
Then you get within eyesight of the people at the top, and you're all glaring at each other, waiting for each other to come within stabbing range.
Yeah. No, but the rest of you don't catch as much context. Tylos, you perhaps get an inkling of why the guards are on edge, but you don't catch the precise context of why they are on edge. They just seem to be checking passengers, your documentation to prove who you say you are. And as you pass through Deep Blue, by the way, you guys would have passed through here probably separately, so at different times. I know Hell rather. You passed through quite early, in like the middle of the night. When you pass through, sorry,
guy.
So Hanu, when you pass through Deep Blue, the smell immediately reminds you a little bit of home. That salty sea breeze.
And fish tank everywhere.
Not so much fish stank, but there is a little bit of that. But it's mostly the fresh, like crisp smell of salty ocean air drifting up from the anchor house. The platform is down while you're passing through, so you weren't afforded much of an opportunity to maybe divert yourself and go down and check out the locale.
Oh, it's fine. I keep myself out of trouble. I'm here for a job, and I'm still relatively new, so if no one aggravates me, I won't aggravate them.
Right. So you pass through. Eventually, all four of you arrive at Verdant Green. Clearly, a brand new Nexus. Half the buildings are not even like they're just frameworks, just like stonework and wood frames that are going up. About a quarter of the buildings are probably freshly built, and of those, like at a glance, you can tell about half of them are unoccupied, and the other half like looks into the process of possibly people moving into them.
They're all like cookie cutter homes, buildings.
I wouldn't say cookie cutter homes. There's especially since no one like is powerful enough to just outright own the entire enclave. There isn't much of an imposed building code, or like what's that shit called where like the house owners on a single street form some sort of committee and then they like
homeowners association. Those are the worst.
Yeah, there's none of that shit going on yet because no one has enough power to kind of pull that kind of influence. So everyone's just building in the styles of their choice. It's a little bit of a mess at the moment. But yeah, you eventually arrive at the address given to you when you first answered or found this job or were recommended this job. I'll leave it up to you precisely how you came by this invitation to become a partner at a brand new Wayfarer company, the Diamond Path Wayfarers, with an invitation by Mr. Fitzgerald. Did any of you do any research into Mr. Fitzgerald?
I would have definitely tried to.
Okay. Those of you who would have spent some time researching Mr. Fitzgerald before showing up here, roll me an investigation. Okay, so Tylos, upon your inquiry to the public records, you know that Mr. Fitzgerald is a 300-something-year-old gnome. So he's up there. Most gnomes at about 300-something start thinking about retirement. And you know through public records that up to recently, and by recently I mean within the last decade, for a gnome, he worked for another Wayfarer company, a quite well-known one with quite a decent reputation, called Infinite Horizons. And since then, he has left the job there and has founded the Diamond Path Wayfarers, quite brand new company that's like 2 months old.
Cool.
And he's recently purchased property at Verdant Green. But that's all about you, fine. Yeah, so you guys all arrive at the address given. It looks to be at just about opening hours. Businesses are starting to open up shop and etc. I'll leave it up to you. Who arrives first? I assume Hal, right?
Yeah, but I think she's sort of gone, like, she doesn't want to sit outside the whole time. She's probably wandering around the Enclave, passing by the offices every 15 minutes or so, wandering off somewhere else. So she may
Okay.
not be there at the time when other people arrive.
Well, okay. I'll ask it this way: does anyone want to be the first to arrive, like specifically?
I probably would then.
Okay. So when you arrive, you see an actual. You actually see what you assume to be the proprietor of this Diamond Path Wayfarers at the door, apparently just in the process of unlocking the door and opening up. And he sees you, and he looks like this. Can everyone see? Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so he looks like this, but instead of the big book, he's carrying like a big shoulder satchel. He has what you assume to be some sort of like a canteen or a thing at his belt, and he's got a pipe in his mouth, and like half spectacles hang precariously on the tip of his nose. And as he fumbles the keys to click the door open, he glances out at the corner of his eye and he catches sight of you, Tylos. And I actually think out of the four of you, he probably, like, you were recommended to him. So you see him go, ah! And have this huge beaming smile. And he turns to you and says, Tylos, is it?
You must be Mr. Fitzgerald.
Pleased to meet you. And like he lets go of the keys and they're still in the lock. And the door is like halfway open and he just like reaches a hand up to shake yours. He's only like 4 foot tall.
I'll definitely shake his hand.
And he says, you just caught me opening up. Very punctual. As I would expect from a graduate of the academy.
I'll just nod.
Please, come in. And he gestures for you to enter inside. And
I'll go inside and just stand around.
yeah, so the inside is surprisingly actually quite well furnished. For a store that's this new, nice, rich hardwood, floors, darkened, colored, and stained by some sort of varnish. Against the western wall is 2 large windows that look out onto the street beyond. At the foot of these windows are nice, large, like 5 or 6 feet long tables of piles of maps and journals and ink quills and other assortments of stuff laid across it. Directly in front of the doorway entrance is a large like rug. It seems a little bit out of place because it seems quite old. Not like of disrepair, but just like you could tell that it's well worn and well used. Against the north wall is a fireplace. In front of it is what are they called? Like a tea table. I'll get to you in one moment, Luna. Beside the tables, there's two couches. At the back of one of the couches is what appears to be a bookshelf, and there's like couple of doors down the hallway. But he gestures for you to take a seat, and he says, "Yes, there will be 3 more of you. I think 4 of you are answering this job summons. They won't. I don't think there will be a moment. The arranged time was pretty specific. Is there anything I can get you while you wait? Tea, caf?
Tea would be fine. And I'll pull my pipe out and say, "Would you mind?"
No. Go ahead. And he gestures to his own pipe.
Great. And I'll sit down and enjoy my pipe while I wait for everybody else.
Okay. So, Luna, I'll get to you. So the process of becoming a citizen in the Nexus isn't that. It's not that complicated. You register your name. You register, like your details. You pay a small fee, typically with trade goods, if you can afford it. It would have been around about 100 glimmers, which is the equivalent of 100 gold. However, you had to pass. Yes, you had to pass like kind of like a questionnaire to. And the questionnaire is strange. It's not really a questionnaire. It's not like a firearms license or something where you're like, no, I won't use the firearms to shoot people. It's just more of a questionnaire to make sure that you understand. You understand the edicts, Nexus edicts. That you are aware of the edicts and understand them. And then there's the documentation that you sign that like you agree to follow the edicts whilst you are within the realm space of the Nexus. And then you would have been presented with an index, or a dex for short. To everyone that's here, I'll explain what the index is. The index is this campaign's form of digital currency. The Nexus is strange in the way that it doesn't use physical hard currency. Everything is handled by these magic. Not really. I don't think they're metallic. There's some kind of material. There's some kind of unknown material that you can't. It's neither metal. It's not wood. Basically, it's plastic. But you guys don't know what plastic is.
Oh, okay.
But think of it as like a thin, long iPad or iPhone that you have with you at all times. It's about the same dimensions, the same thickness. It's nigh on indestructible. Oh, well, it is destructible, but you'd have to make a concerted effort to break it. Let's just put it that way. And it handles tracking your credentials, your currency. So actually, I'll just show this to you. Everyone can see that, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you can still use copper, silvers, and golds. By the way, if just so that, like, in case you don't get confused, but when you use that, just keep in mind that the currency is actually tracked in chips, shards, and glimmers, which is the equivalence. The exchange rates are all still the same as standard 5e, so there's no platinum, so don't worry about that. And there's no electrum, so don't worry about that. You would have easily gained once you finish your documentation and have taken the query, Luna. You would have been issued an index.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's up to you where you want to wear an index. Some people, there's weird people that wear it on their face, which is kind of a bit weird. But typically, the standard is worn on the left forearm. I will say one thing though. The major majority of people wear their index visibly. To not do so is to draw attention, because you might be some weird native person who just like wandered up the tether somehow and just like wandering around Nexus.
But that's exactly what she's doing.
Well, for the sake of gainful employment, you had to have gotten an index. So maybe you're just like one step above native person wandering around clueless.
Okay, that's exactly what she's doing then.
Someone at some point took pity on you and told you that if you wanted to purchase bread, you can't just like trade bark for bread. You had to like
That was a bit directed.
Use this thing, and then you're like, "What's this thing?"
Sounds
yeah.
familiar.
Yes, I borrowed that from somewhere.
She doesn't need food and she doesn't need water. She can do it all herself.
Right. So I guess you would be the second to arrive, and you arrive at this house. You know what a house is, right? You're not that hermity.
What does this place look like? Does it actually look like a house, or does it look like something weird?
Yeah, it looks like a fairly comfortably sized. You know what? I'll just throw you to this page. Actually,
Is it a yurt-like house, or is it a modern-day house?
no, it is a house.
I can't
Can
see
everyone?
It's all black as my soul.
Okay, I will.
And for some odd reason, it's not actually transferring me from the OBS
There we
software.
go.
It's not what? Now that's weird. Okay, so Tylos is already here. He's on a couch somewhere. Bam, bam. Yeah, move where you want. It's fine. The fire snaps to life when... Actually, you know what? Mr. Fitzgerald claps his hand twice. And you see like flint and tinder or flint and steel float up from beside the fireplace and proceed to strike itself until the fire catches alight. And then pieces of like firewood get picked up and float into the fireplace. You've seen this before, Tylos. It's Unseen Servant.
Oh yeah. I'm paying no attention to it whatsoever.
Yeah, and then at some point later, while Mr. Fitzgerald is in this little side office, seemingly doing something with papers or a book or something, sorting through notes or something, you hear sounds coming from like a back room of cutlery and boiling water and etc. Probably brewing your tea. At this point, I think Luna arrives. How do you? The door is wide open. There's a human gentleman seated inside smoking a pipe.
Then she probably just comes in and just sits.
Yep.
She doesn't say anything, she just sits.
You just walk to like a breakfast table or something that sits in front of like a front window, and you just take a seat without a word to the other person.
Yep.
How do you respond to this, Tylos? This halfling woman, girl or woman?
Girl.
Like, how obvious is it age? Okay, so
she's
this
a late teenager, but she looks like she's younger.
So this halfling tween just wanders in through the front door. She's dressed weirdly. Like for a moment, you think she might be like some lost native.
The only thing that goes through my mind is I don't understand kids' fashion anymore, and I'll just go back to reading my book.
Yep.
Smoking my pipe.
And
Because Tylos is a bit older. He's like late 30s, maybe mid 30s.
Right. And then I think Hal, at some point, possibly following.
He probably wanders back and notices the door open. Swears mentally, shit, I should have been back here 10 minutes ago. And she's going to head on in.
And then Hanu, I think you show up.
Hanu shows up 30 to 45 minutes late.
So by that time, I think Mr. Fitzgerald noticed that the newcomers have shown up, and he comes out and he's very affable. And he's like, yes, the prospects, welcome, and he gestures inside and points you towards seats or tables and asks if you guys want any refreshments and etc. And he explains to you that he's just waiting on one more. Shouldn't take long. Will be any minute now. Like a tea set floats out from the kitchen, and Mr. Fitzgerald, how tall are you, Luna?
My usual, like, what is it?
Like 3 foot something, yeah, as a halfling.
She's like 2'5" then. She's
Okay, so
really short.
okay, so like tiny shin stabber. But yeah. He greets you. He greets you very nicely. There's like, no. There's no condescension. Like, there's no like he's treating you like a child or anything. He greets you quite fondly, Luna, and like very jovial. And he asks us like if you want anything, and how do you respond? By the way,
She pops a berry in her mouth.
he just nods, as in like fair enough. And he asks how, and you, madam?
I'll take some tea then. Thanks.
And yeah, he pours you, like he doesn't pour you. Something picks up a saucer and a teapot.
So, what am I looking at exactly? I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm about to drink.
It's like
I believe this is called tea.
Well, yes, smartass, I knew that much. Come on.
it's probably like some sort of like a herbal, like a green tea or something. Probably with like a little bit of floral scent to it.
Elle sure loves those herbs and green.
Right, and then you guys wait around for an inordinately long time, and by which I mean like 30 or 40 minutes before this. Actually, should we describe it in terms of characters first? We should really do that. So, Talos, could you describe your character?
Yes. So basically, I am a human, and that's it.
Hair color, height?
Yeah, about 6 foot tall. Hair color's like black with grey peppered through it. I have sort of like a goatee. Well kept though, like, and my robes and stuff are very well like tailored. And I look like quite fancy for someone who was just an adventurer. And I have a cat, a black cat.
I don't have a token off the top of my head
No,
for
I just
you.
didn't do it.
I get one.
No, I have one. It just didn't. I meant to drag it on there, and I didn't drag.
Link it to me, and I'll check
That's
it
what I
on.
was trying to do.
Yeah, but while
it's
you do
it's
that,
on my lap at the moment, and I'm just like giving it a pat every now and then.
Oh, so you have a cat?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is this cat you're familiar, by the way, or is it just a pet?
People wouldn't know,
Okay,
but yes, it's my familiar.
right. You also have the shard as well. Do you have the shard out at the moment, or is it stowed away in your coat?
It's stowed away in my coat.
Okay. All right, Robin, give me 1 moment. How about you describe your character while I do this?
Luna, compared to all of you, she probably looks extremely odd. She does look very childlike. She has really light blonde hair, almost white. For some odd reason, there's little ghosts of animals following all around her.
Yeah.
Some crawling on your laps. Who knows? And
They mostly hang around you.
Yeah, but she has really wide blue eyes, and she's just lightly tilting her head and staring at you as if trying to figure you guys out.
So like a halfling, but even more. Like halflings sometimes get confused with children, but like this is way more childlike than a typical halfling.
Yes.
So inspecting them, by the way, are you inspecting them like they are curiosities or
just curiosities.
By the way, I picked random tokens for Hal and Tylos. If you guys want another one, feel
Random
free to let
things.
me know.
Oh, geez, giant elf. It's
Way
fine.
bigger than the quarterling.
Yeah, I can do with random tokens. Trinkets, not tokens, trinkets.
Are you like sitting next to me?
I think
mate.
he's sitting across from me.
Yeah, sitting across.
Doesn't look like on my screen. It looks like he's sitting next to me.
Do you know where the couch is, Pete? The couches are going vertically. Like up and down on the screen.
One couch, two couch.
Yeah, so you're sitting next to me on the couch.
No. There's
Oh,
the
what?
border.
Wait, hold
There's
on.
the border.
Hang where I am.
That's where you are on my
Yeah.
screen.
Yes, that's where I am. We're on different couches.
So we're on the same couch.
No, you're over. See, now you just moved.
Now you're on the same
Yeah, I was
couch.
there.
No, you weren't.
I was there the whole time.
You were there.
I wasn't.
Okay, who saw Peter on the opposite
I
couch?
did.
Raise your virtual hand. Thank you.
I've been on that, but that's the whole time. Okay, fine, I'll move.
I thought.
Right, so you guys wait for quite a bit long time. Whilst you guys wait, Mr. Fitzgerald actually introduces himself. Actually, no. My brain fire. Sorry, Hal.
Hey.
What does your character look like? I keep skipping ahead.
Hal is 5'9"-ish, I think. She's an elf, quite clearly. Well, not quite clearly, but, you know, there's the features here. Although the ears are hidden underneath her hair. She has platinum blonde, almost white hair, which sounds a little bit familiar. It's about shoulder length, a little above shoulder length. She's wearing a lot of black. There's a lot of black, a lot of grey, oddly enough. She has this sort of medallion thing sitting just below the breast, although, is there a cord there? Is it hanging from something?
It's
Fuck if I know.
hanging from
Oh, and
nothing.
it's a magical, mysterious question for everyone. I know what it's hanging from. They don't. And yeah, she's wearing a nice leather coat. I explicitly went out of my way to buy a nice leather coat.
Okay.
And there is a chain wrapped around her left arm. And she's just chilling there on the couch. She's trying to sort of reach down and trying to call over Tyler's cat. Apparently she wants to touch it. Just
The cat will wander over to her.
yeah. I think the cat decides it owns this entire place and just starts marking everything, including the people.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't mark anything, but it'd just like go to whoever is offering it food or offering it whatever.
No, I mean, you know how cats scent.
Oh yeah, they're like,
rubbing their face against it. Yeah. The cat ODs from.
The cat will go over to Luna next.
Yeah, the cat ODs from the massive sustenance necessary to sustain a creature for a day.
It was a chocolate berry.
Oh god. No, don't do that. But yeah, Mr. Fitzgerald will.
Moron berry.
So the gnome introduces himself, yes, as Mr. Fitzgerald. My full name is Gimbal Fitzgerald, but you can just call me Fitzgerald. And he does give his background a little bit, and he quite good naturedly says, yes, I actually used to be one of you, a wayfarer. I worked at Infinite Horizons. Most of you, except for Luna, probably have heard of. It's quite well known with a decent reputation. They've explored a lot of opened enclaves, actually. And you seem to recall, by the way, Tylos, that Shifting Sands was actually explored by Infinite Horizons. And he says, "But yes, when my term came up, when my contract came up, instead of renewing it, I took my savings and what I've earned so far, and I decided, hey, why not start a little bit of a venture myself, eh? But there's supposed to be 4 of you. I wouldn't want to send you guys out a person short. I wonder
Hal lifts up the cat. We got 4. Look at them right there. The security can help us out.
She Fitzgerald grins and says, yes, I suppose you'll be paying her in kibble and fish.
Well, ahead is a very good exchange rate, so it's a good deal.
Yes, well, we're right beside an oceanic community, so you'll know that the fish is very fresh. Probably caught less than an hour ago. Pulls out a pocket watch and he checks it. Last dude is like 30 or 40 minutes late. How late will you be?
30 or 40, he can't find the place. He's dumb. It's not that he's trying to be late. He's never been up tether.
So eventually, I think, Hanu, you realize that you could just find the place by asking your index. Do you do so, or do you try and tough it out on your own?
Yeah, he would have. Well, eventually, he probably would have asked someone else to help him. Like, hey, brother, sister, you help me over here. I'm trying to find this place.
They give you a strange look and they say, "Why don't you just ask Nixie?"
Who is Nexie?
You get the weirdest look, and they glance down.
He's obviously fresh up tether. He still smells like the beach.
They glance down at wherever you're wearing your index.
He'd be wearing it inside his right arm.
Okay, so yeah, I guess they catch sight of your right arm and you say, "Ask Nixie," and they point towards your index. Yeah, and
then, he would have done that once he figured it out.
Yeah, and they if you still look confused, they would have shown you by holding up their own index and then speak into it and say, "Nixie, how do I get to Diamond Path Wayfarer?"
Yeah, he's gonna look confused, so he gets out of here. So yeah, he would have had to have help.
Yeah, and then when you do so, when you ask your index, from out of the interface, the screen, for lack of a better word, climbs out of it, almost like it's a portal. A little 3-inch fairy, dressed in colorful garbs, and holding a big magic wand with a star on the end of it. And Nexie points you towards where Diamond Path Wayfarer is, while chattering happily about the various sites.
The first thing he would have done is he literally would have tried to grab the pixie.
Yep. You could grab the pixie. She doesn't seem to mind.
Yeah, I grab her and say, I go face to face with her and say, I need to get to and he would say the name of the place.
Yeah, he just says, that way, down that street.
He's
Let's
like, thank
go.
you, Nexie. He would just call the fairy Nexie.
No, the fairy is Nexie.
Fantastic.
Is he going to feel betrayed when he finds out that everyone else's fairy is called Nexie?
Yep. And occasionally you'll see Nexie, the fairy that you're holding, but like a different Nexie, and it's flying through the air holding what appears to be a sack of gems or something, and it just darts down the street. And then another one is like transferring what appears to be a pile of coins from one person's index to another one's.
And he's just kind of overwhelmed. He sees all that. He just kind of tunnel visions on his Nexie and follows him until he gets here.
Yeah, and it's all the same. It's identical down to the wand and everything. But yeah, you get there and actually you get there while this gnome, this bookish looking half bald gnome, is just so happened to be poking his head out the door, like wondering, like, where the fuck is this guy? And he sees you, and then he holds up a hand tentatively, like, hello.
Oh, is this the place I'm supposed to be?
Ah, yes.
And then I'll let Nexie. I'll just kind of like fling her into the air. I say, "Thanks, little Nexie," and walk in.
Yeah, and she just darts back into your index. Doesn't seem to mind. Isn't offended.
She was probably warned when they gave it to, because it was a big to-do for him to get this thing. He had to have help from his family.
Yeah. So he greets you, and he says, yes, you must be Hanu, is it? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Hanu, and I'd stick my hand out to shake his hand.
Yeah, and he shakes it. Do you crush his hand, or is it
No,
just...
no. I don't. I mean, it's not the first small person he's seen. He does it. He does it gently enough where I don't like rip his arm off.
Okay.
He'd follow him inside, I guess.
Yeah. So, would you like to describe your character to the others as you walk in through the front door, trailing behind this tiny gnome?
Hanu's basically, if you took Lenny from Mice and Men and made him a Polynesian. He's about 6'6". He's about 310. He's solid, but he's not like ripped muscly. He's just solid flesh. Not very bright. Big smile on his face. He's happy to be here. He's got like a mohawk that ends in a top knot. And all he's wearing are sandals and a sarong that covers his waist and down to like get over his knees. No shirt. He's covered in tattoos that like he has a tattoo on his jaw. His upper arms and his legs are covered in tattoos, and they kind of shimmer when they catch the light the right way. And he's just got a big, goofy grin on his face. And he smells. He stinks like the beach. He stinks like not a fish that washed up on the beach and died there. He's been there for 2 days. That's exactly what he smells like.
So you smell of like 2-day-old dead fish
that died on the beach. That kept died on the water line. The water kept running over it. It never pushed it out of the water. It just kind of stayed rolled back and forth with the tide.
Oh god. Okay.
My cat's probably like skirting around your feet.
Yeah. There's this damn cat that's just doing figure eights around your feet constantly.
I go, ooh, kitty, and pick it up. And Mice and Men Lenny pet the cat.
Yeah, it seems inordinately interested in sniffing all over you, as if looking for the food. Yeah, but Mr. Fitzgerald arranges all of you to take a seat, and he introduces each of you, and he says, "All of you come highly recommended from various people. We have a." Sorry. Yeah, all of you come highly recommended from various people. So, and as you all would have read and know, this is a brand new company. You'll be the first hires. In fact, listen here. All right, here's the deal. I don't so much want employees as I want partners for this venture. You as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit too old to be heading out there myself, so you guys will have to do all the legwork. I've already purchased this property, and I have the business contacts. So we'll use this as our base of operations for at least this exploration of this particular enclave, and I'll let you guys handle the specifics. If you have, like I said, I've done this for a little bit. If you require advice about the various aspects of wayfaring, you can ask me. But the advice is what I'll give. I won't dictate to you what kinds of jobs you guys wish to accept. Lots of different companies and groups and factions, and sects of temples and stuff, have various interests in a new place such as this. I should warn you, however, that almost all of these factions have their own opponents and allies. Working for one could possibly anger or annoy another. Wayfaring isn't precisely the safest for all occupations, although has its own reward. He gestures around at the shop around him. But regardless of which, I'll field the contacts and present to you the various opportunities, and I'll leave it up to you lot, if what you guys want to do. At the moment, the contract on hand, and he gestures. He walks over to the table and he brings over like a broad sheaf, like 3 or 4 pages, and he hands it each to you. And it's pretty simple. Those of you who can read. Can Hana read?
It just takes me a little bit.
It's in common.
It just takes me a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so you read through it, and it actually, I don't know if many of you would know this. Yeah, so no, you wouldn't know that this is fairly standard for a Wayfarer contract, because you guys are new at this. But he explains as such. He says this is fairly standard. That this contract comes from actually the NEX branch itself, and they simply want us to map out the surrounding area around the anchor stone for a 20-mile radius. Landmarks, possible dangers, natives, that kind of thing. Just go out and walk through the 20-mile radius around, and note down whatever you find. Oh, yes, this will come in useful. And he rushes off. Comes back with like a spyglass, but it's not like any spyglass that you've ever seen. So it's not like a binocular, in the sense that how binoculars have so binoculars have two. It's basically 2 spyglasses welded together to give you bifocal vision. This thing there's 2 lenses that you put over your eyes, so it's like a binocular, but the front of the binocular, the front of the spyglass is one big lens. And he says, this is a surveyor. This will allow you to record for the records anything that you find. You simply put it up to your face here. And he demonstrates doing so. You hold it like thus, and he puts both hands around the device, and you press these 4 studs with your thumbs and your index fingers. And anything that you happen to be looking at will be recorded on this thing. And when you bring it back here, the clerks and the handlers over the NEX branch will be able to take the images from this device. So he basically hands you a magical rudimentary camera. Photograph camera.
Does it come in white?
Yes, I think so, but unfortunately I just picked up this standard model, which is in a bright yellow color.
That'll do.
So I have, the reason why I hired the 4 of you is because I have a role for each of you. Who wants to be the surveyor?
I mean,
If no one says anything, Hondo would stick his hand out.
Yeah, I mean, could you tell us all 4 of the roles first?
Oh no, yes.
Yeah, not to tell you what to do, but that seems like the smart thing to do, isn't it?
Yes. So there's a cartographer. There's a treasurer. So there's a cartographer, and he pulls out from his satchel like a stylus without a inkwell, and a strange looking map. It's like a scroll, but instead of a scroll, you're not exactly quite sure how it works. But instead of a scroll having that, there's two coils on each side. This scroll has four coils of paper, like four rolls, one on each side of the four sides. And he demonstrates to you that you can roll the coils to move the maps across, and the coils on each side doesn't seem to get smaller or bigger. It just always seems to stay the same size.
It can pan.
Yes, it can pan and scroll. And he offers you the stylus, and he demonstrates by drawing a little like north notation mark on the page, and then scrolling it off the page. And he says, I'd like you to record, so the cartographer will record the map as the surrounding lands as you explore it. The surveyor is responsible for noting down landmarks and such things as that. The treasurer, and he pulls out from the satchel a large looking index with the emblazoned, like stamped, embossed into it like a what's it called? Like a company seal.
The logo.
Yeah, like a logo. But at the moment, it's just the letterheads. It says DPW. And he demonstrates to you that it accesses the company accounts, and you can also do fancy things like this. And he says, and he like taps on the treasury index, and he says, 50 glimmers worth of trade gems, and he tips the index over on its side, and from out of the interface, the portal, falls out 50, approximately what you assess to be about 50 glimmers worth of various cuts of jewels and gems and etc. And then he demonstrates by scooping it all back up again, and then dumping it back into the index. And you guys hear like the sound effects of like ching 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 ching, like coins and rattling and things. And you look down at the index, and it shows that the company account has gone up by 50 glimmers. And it says, yes, you can any kind of like rare material, valuable, metals or gems or some such that you come across out there. There's no point of holding it around in your bags. You might as well just put it in the company index. The conversion rate is a little bit wonky at times, but typically it works out to be fair in the long term. It's more convenient at any rate than traveling to shit. I actually forgot about what the index. What the enclave name for the bazaar that's nearby. I'll have to get back to you guys on that. But yes, it's better to traveling to the bazaar and trying to pawn off the gems. You could probably get more doing that, but it's less convenient, especially if you're going to be multiple days out in the field. And he puts it on the table. And last but not least, he picks up a pair of earrings, and he says, "These will be for the negotiator. I had these magically enchanted myself. Cost a fair penny. These aren't typically standard with all Wayfarer companies, but like, that's one." And he leans in a little bit closer, and he kind of like mock whispers, and he says, "You see, this is one of the disagreements I actually had with the reason why I left Infinite Horizons is because, they're a bit hard on the natives. They never saw any point in the niceties of negotiation and stuff. They just ran the natives out of the area whenever they came across something worth taking. These, however, should aid you in speaking with the natives. The negotiator who is empowered to wear these. Whilst you're wearing these, there will be several magical effects that you'll be consistently imbued with. One of which is tongues. It's a spell that allows you to understand and make yourself understood to anyone who speaks a spoken language. And the other one is a lesser form enchantment of the comprehend language spell. It works in a more limited form. It doesn't work for all languages, but it works for most of the common languages. You know, he gestures around at each of you to indicate your different races. Should work for all of your languages. And he says, so there you go. The treasurer, the surveyor, the cartographer, and the negotiator. I'll leave it up to you to decide who amongst you.
I'll take the map if no one else wants it.
Hunter just kind of looks confused at everything.
That's exactly what Luna's doing. She's like,
I'll take the earrings for negotiation.
So that leaves what? Treasurer or the
surveyor?
I'll grab the surveyor thing as fast as I can.
That's what I was about to do.
So Robin, sorry, not Robin. So Luna is left with the big iPad index.
She was just gonna puppy eyes Hanu over the surveyor.
I'll look at Luna. I'll be like, "Would you rather the earrings then?" And I'll take the treasurer.
No, she has no skill talking, so she just thinks that the other tool's way too big for her.
So
Hanu can draw, or Hanu can. He didn't say for himself in third person. He can draw, sorta, or he can do this. You don't want him around currency or talking to folks.
Can Hanu draw?
He says he can draw. I don't know what I have to roll to actually draw, but he would.
Performance is what we usually do.
Well, I mean, he's got a 0 wisdom, so
We'll see.
He's got a -2 intelligence.
Wait, which is the one that did the landmarks?
That's the surveyor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I grabbed it. It's the easiest thing he can understand.
Okay, well then I guess I'm left with the treasury.
Yeah, so it's a big index at the moment. And he says, now before I Mr. Fitzgerald says, now before I authorize this index access to the company funds, I need to make sure that all of you are on board. Yes, there are various paperwork and stuff that we have to go through and sign.
That's always paperwork.
Yeah, he nods at you.
Understandable.
Yeah, and so he goes into the office. He comes back with it's substantial, but it's not like overly officious amount of paperwork. And if you look through it, I won't make you roll anything to determine it. You can tell that it's fairly standard, like contractual agreement. In fact, it's a little bit more so than just simple employership, as Mr. Fitzgerald said before. He's offering you guys like a partial ownership of the company, like partnership. He still controls the controlling interest, so he controls 51% of the company. But he's essentially allowing you guys ownership of, like, in lieu of paying you guys like a large amount of sign-on, like hundreds of gold to hire you as permanent employees. He's offering you shares in the company, basically.
Sounds good.
If the wizard's signing it, I'm signing it. She's actually watching him sign it.
So each of you will get 10% ownership in the company.
It's better than fishing.
Yeah. So at this point, so I know I brought you guys onto a map. Okay. And just because I brought you onto a map, I don't want you guys to get in the habit of thinking that just because there is a map, there's going to be a combat. And I don't want you to get into the habit of just because there isn't a map, that means that there is going to be no combat. Okay, because that's a bad habit, and that's metagaming. But
So nothing is sacred. Got it.
having said that,
The gnome attacks us.
no, all of you roll me a perception whilst you guys are reading through the paperwork and signing
Hobby
it.
wouldn't read through it at all. He would literally just sign it.
Okay. So I will give you advantage in that case, Honu.
I'm going through the contract like very slowly and carefully.
Yeah. You meticulously work through the contract, and you spot a few like wishy-washy bits, not necessarily like loophole-y bits, and then you bring it up to Mr. Fitzgerald, and he nods, and like you guys negotiate through like addendums to it to make it more secure for the both of you. But yeah, Hal and Luna and Honu. Tylos is the only one who's occupied. You both pick up the sounds of a commotion outside. There's some sort of an argument between some sort of gruff, deep-voiced person and some chittering.
Gonna move to a window and see if she can see something.
Okay, you don't have to. This map was more for illustration than it was for token moving. So you just tell me what you're doing, and we'll assume you're doing that. So you move to the window, and directly outside the window, you can see a 8-foot-tall, muscle-bound Goliath, grey skin, bald, Grog from Critical Role. And he appears to be in an argument with 8 green-skinned, 3-foot-tall, knife-eared, jackal-looking goblinoid creatures who have surrounded him in a half semicircle. One of them is like a little bit stepped forward, and he's wearing like a voodoo mask, and he seems to be gesticulating and shouting in some sort of a high-pitched gibberish squirble sound.
Is it obvious that fighting's about to commence?
Insight check.
Yes.
Can I make that too?
Yeah, all of you who have moved to the window to look outside can make an insight check. It's not a hard insight check. Hal, you're not an expert. Hal and Luna, you're not an expert on goblinoid body language, but you recognize that there's some sort of confrontation going on. But Honu, you can tell that you're no stranger of like violence and posturing and stuff like that, and you can tell that this disagreement or argument is about to turn violent.
I'm going to get kind of giddy and rush outside and ask the Goliath if he needs help or does he got this.
I follow.
So the Goliath looks to like basically he turns his attention to you, and as he does so, the goblins see this as an excuse, and they jump him all at the same time. So all of a sudden, there's this 8-foot-tall Goliath, and he's covered in like goblins hanging off his every arm and hip, and one's pulling at his ear, another one's like biting his ankle, another one's like hitting his shin with a club, and he just lets out this.
What do you say?
He just lets out this furious bellow, and Tylos, it's at this point that you realize that something is going on, because the Goliath throws one of the goblins that he rips off his shoulder through the store window and nearly hits Mr. Fitzgerald.
If I'm not, I'd already be outside laughing, and I'm going to try to grab 2 goblins off of him.
At this point, I would like everyone to roll initiative.
Yes. This is awesome.
Ignore the. By the way, ignore the tokens. They're simply there for initiative's sake.
Oh, man, my initiative is poop. My dex is poop.
I actually rolled really high. That's hilarious.
So little goblin friend and little barbarian friend for visual. They're not where they're standing, by the way. We'll just do this narratively wise. All right, so first up is Luna. Luna, you just watch as this barbarian covered in 7 goblins or 8 goblins, and he just reaches up behind his back at this one that's pulling at his ears. He lets out this furious bellow, well, I don't know, like what? Like a person who's just lost his mind. And he picks this goblin up by the scruff, and he just hurls it over his shoulder and straight through the window, almost knocking Mr. Fitzgerald down. Some of the other goblins chatter in alarm. The one on his hip bounces off his hip, kicks off the wall, lands on the ground, and draws this wicked-looking, rusty, jagged-looking scimitar from his back, which not you possibly, and not Honu possibly, but to you, Hal and Tylos, you know that something is going fucking wrong here because
They have weapons. Why
he's
do they have
pulling a weapon, yeah. But Luna, you're up.
So there's one in the shop right now, right?
There's one in the shop. He narrowly avoided bowling over Mr. Fitzgerald, and it looks like it's currently scrambling to its feet.
Oh, no, it's not. I'm gonna hop on it and turn into a bear.
So all of a sudden, this tiny halfling goes leaping through the air, and halfway through the air, she transforms into an inevitable bear.
Yep.
Wait, inevitable? Like a mecha bear?
No, it's just the title of the bear. It's just my wild shape.
Is it a medium-sized creature or is it a large-sized creature?
Large.
An inevitable bear. So suddenly there's a bear inside this parlor. And Mr. Fitzgerald starts yelling. First he yells out, "What?" And then you tackle the goblin, and he shouts, "Oh no fighting, no fighting! Stop!" The goblins ignore him. Several of them scramble off. They cease manually assaulting this Goliath, and they all scramble off him. A couple of them disengage and run down alleyways, pulling short bows from their backs. The one that's beneath you pulls out a wicked-looking dagger and attempts to shank you. Actually, roll me a grapple check. A bear grapple check.
That'd be what, strength check?
Yeah, strength.
Athletics or
Oh
something.
no! I rolled a 5.
I didn't see it, so you might be on talk to yourself.
I shouldn't.
So don't worry about it. Roll it again.
There's just a lot of lag.
That or there's a lot of lag, yeah.
It's too inevitable bear. Why is it doing that? What is it doing? Oh, derp. Okay, I see. There we go.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, I don't think he can actually even make that. Oh, he can. No. So yeah, you got this goblin pinned. So yeah, he's prone on the ground. You got him pinned down. He pulls out this like wicked looking, like just like a looks like a just like a piece of metal scrap or something that he's sharpened up on a rock, and he attempts to shank you with it. No, not in Verdant Green. Like you might have seen one or two guards around, but they were near the anchor house, not near this district. Sorry, this particular block.
So we're shit out of luck.
That's actually additional +2. So does 18 hit your beer AC?
Yes.
So he shanks you for 4 piercing damage. And Mr. Fitzgerald scrambles backwards, getting around the corner, and he yells out, "No weapons! No weapons!" And he seems to be yelling that at you guys specifically, not the goblins. The other goblins inside, the other goblins outside get off this barbarian. The 3 of them surround him and start hacking at him with knives and scimitars, all like rusty looking, jagged looking, and they open up several cuts and pinpricks on his body. And with each stab, he yells in pain and fury, and seems to grow in stature and size and getting angrier and angrier. The couple of goblins run down the alleyways, unslinging bows, and as they get around barrels and crates and other types of scaffolding and stuff of buildings that are unfinished, they turn back around and draw and knock arrows. The 3 of them are going to shoot at not the barbarian, not the Goliath, but they're going to shoot at Honu, Hale, and Luna. Actually, no, Luna, you've gone back inside, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm inside.
Yeah, so Honu and Hale. Honu is the bigger of you two, so 2 of the goblins are going to go for you, Honu, and 1 of them is going to go for the Hale. The first 2 are for you, Honu.
AC 14.
So 1 hits for 6 piercing, and the third one is going for Hale. 23 to hit for 3 piercing.
Ouch. Yeah, that hits me.
Okay. So the big Goliath man, he just straight up tries to kick the head off one of the goblins. His horseback, muscle swelling, roaring with furious rage. He attempts to kick one of the goblins. No, that's the wrong sheet. What am I doing?
What are you doing?
Is this adding his proficiency bonus? It is not. So 17 to hit. So that hits for 4 bludgeoning damage. So yeah, he kicks this goblin in the face. This goblin lets out this squeal. It tumbles backwards, and like this other goblin jumps on his back and stabs him in the shoulder blade with like a rusty looking knife, and he flails and stumbles backwards, and another one catches him in the chin with like a scimitar, and he goes toppling backwards through the half broken glass store window to land inside, smashing aside the chair and breakfast table that you were seated at before, Luna. So like 3 goblins are. Yeah, where Hal is at on the map currently, but he's not there. He's outside. And so there's now 3 goblins inside, around, and on top of this barbarian. There's 1 pinned underneath you, and then there's 3 additional ones outside in the alleyway holding bows, peppering Honu and Hal. Honu, what are you doing?
Well, if I can, if you'll let me, I'd like to run up and grab 2 of the goblins that are on the Goliath, and like slam them coconut style over my head into each other.
Make me a just a unarmed melee attack roll.
Okay, well, is that I don't have unarmed? Is that just my strength, or what is it exactly?
Just 20 plus strength plus proficiency.
Sweet.
Or you could just click strength and then add 2.
We'll do that.
Or if you're proficient in athletics, you can just click that. Proficient +2. So so 22. 20 definitely hits. Roll me a 1d2 plus your strength modifier. And I'll half the damage and share it out over both goblins.
So they both take 2?
So they both take 2 damage.
Do I still have them both grappled, though?
No, because it's technically not a grapple attack, because a grapple is an action.
Okay.
So basically, you just pick them both up, you smash their heads together, and then you let go. And they look a bit dazed.
I'll have to say, and Father said you guys don't have fun up here. And that's my turn.
Yeah, and Hal, you're up. So Hanu's run back inside. You're still outside.
We have 3 goblins inside.
There's 4 goblins inside.
4 goblins. And
one's pinned, and there's 3 outside of Bo's peppering.
The window's broken?
Yeah.
Okay, Hal's gonna run to, the spot just in front of the window. She's going to leap through the window, and she's gonna sort of try and land on one of the goblins and kick it.
Okay, so you leap back inside and try and land on one of the goblins and kick it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it an unarmed attack.
Okay.
16 for 7.
Okay, so reasonable force. I see what you did there.
I'm so glad you did.
Tell me this. Are you trying to kick his head off, or are you just...
No, I'm trying to take him down.
Okay,
Hal makes them non-lethal attacks.
Okay. Right, so yeah, you describe to me how you knock out this goblin as you jump through the broken window back inside and land on this goblin.
Shit, actually this is something a difficult mental image, somehow. Fuck.
You jump through the window and you sidekick him in his spleen, causing him to fall over and be unconscious.
Actually, I think I want to, leap through the window, land behind him. Like, she shouts at him, he turns around a wee bit. She launches a quick kick at the back of his leg, which hits him, and he sort of starts tumbling backward. She draws back her leg and kicks it into his stomach as he's falling, knocking him onto the ground. Yeah,
and he's just like, he rolls around and curls up into a fetal position and then just relaxes out as he sprawls in unconsciousness.
2 more nearby, right?
There's 3 more inside.
But 2 nearby.
Yeah, 2 nearby.
1 key point, flurry of blows. She spins around and launches a back kick at the nearest one. 19 for 5.
That catches him straight in the face. He stumbles backwards, reeling, completely.
And third attack, she lands with that foot she just kicked with, steps forward and kicks out with the other foot, going for the chin or stomach or whatever. Just fucking kicking him. 13 for 6.
I think 13 is still a hit. No. 13 is still a hit. Just. So yeah, he stumbles reeling backwards and he sees this other kick coming and tries to throw himself out of the way, but you compensate and kick him across the chin. The chin. There's a horrible clack as his jaw comes up and slams into his mouth. And you swear you hear the sounds of bones breaking or possibly teeth breaking. But his eyes just roll up into the back of his head, and he sprawls against the wall and slides down in a loose pile.
She looks a little uncomfortable in retrospect.
But he's still alive, he's just unconscious.
How many are outside?
There are 3 outside that you kind of can see. They're like behind barrels and behind buildings. They're holding bows. There's one that's currently being pinned down by the inevitable bear, and there's another one that's wrestling with the barbarian who's on the ground.
And there's one inside?
There's 2 inside.
So the ones outside, are they within 20 feet of each other?
2 of them are, yes.
Great. I'm going to cast Sleep on them.
Okay. They both collapse and fall asleep. Luna, it is your turn. Unless are you moving anywhere, Tyler?
No. I'm just staying near Mr. Fitzgerald as best I can.
Luna's gonna look at her animals. And
They all turn into baby bears, by the way, when you turn into a bear.
that's adorable. Can I get them to like take his weapons or something?
Not technically. They have as much utility as a mage hand would do, and I don't think you can use a mage hand to wrestle someone's weapon away from them.
No. Okay, so then I'll tell them to attack the hands. To attack his hands.
So the way that they function is that they would attack as part of your attack.
Okay.
So as part of your attack, you command them to join the fray.
Okay.
As a bonus action, I think. Let me look it up.
The way you have it worded is as a bonus action whenever the wearer makes
Yeah.
a melee attack. Yeah. Okay.
And I will allow you to non-lethal bear melee attack. That's fine.
Okay. So we're going to.
Bear hug, right?
We'll make it a bear claw hug. How about that? Actually,
Bear claw hug.
it's a multi attack is what I get for a full round because I'm not moving. So.
This is 5e. I don't think that's a thing. In order to have multi-attack, the creature actually has to have multi-attack. So let me look it up.
Posted the bear.
Yeah, bears have multi-attack. They have bite and claw. Yeah, so 2 attacks, bite and claw.
Oh, the claw didn't go through. So claw is 1d20 plus 5.
It's the same roll, just a different damage.
Okay, and that is 1d8.
But yeah, the bite definitely hits. You chomp down on this goblin. It screes and lets out some incomprehensible gibberish. Actually, who's wearing the earrings? Did anyone put the earrings on?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so since we're streaming this or we're recording this, what the goblin says is unrepeatable, but it has something to do with her lineage and the various kinds of sexual acts.
I won't repeat it.
Action number of d4 equal to half the wearer, so 1d4.
Yeah. How do you want to? So what happens is like you bite it, and then you bring it up and you give it this big bear hug, and then all the other baby bears scramble around and join in on the bear hug. So it's like a multiple bear hug with mama bear and a whole bunch of baby bears, and then the goblin's nasty cursing and swearing just like strangles off into a tortured exhale, and then it just passes out as it's being like crushed to death by this ball of bears. Just all the bears. At this point, who is still outside? Honu, right?
Yep.
Honu, you see the last remaining goblin who is outside holding a bow. He pulls up a disgusting looking moss covered, dirt covered, possibly poop covered ram horn, and he blows into it, and it gives out this like raspberry, almost farting like blurp.
Gotcha.
And you hear chittering from all around. And then from the various rooftops around you, hops down like 6 or 7 other goblins.
Fantastic.
And then you look up as well, and there's like 5 or 6 different goblins as well up there with short bows. But they seem to have just moved into position, and they seem to be about to launch an offensive. It is, however, and then the one inside tries to The one inside disengages from the Goliath barbarian, scrambles over his form, and hops out through the broken window, cutting himself on one of the broken shards, tumbles, and runs down the alleyway. It is now the barbarian's turn. The barbarian surges to his feet and kind of in a I don't know. Hanu would recognize this, but I'm not sure if any of the others would recognize this. He just punches out at the closest person in a big roundhouse punch, throwing a big roundhouse punch, and that closest person happens to be Hal.
Fucking rude much.
But he misses completely and just takes out the rest of the window, like the rest of the broken shards that were.
Hal leans back as he swings in. I'd rather you wouldn't fucking do that.
And then you look back at him, and he now looks like he has knuckle dusters, but they're just bits of broken glass that's sticking out of his fist.
Shit.
Hanu, it is now your turn.
If I recognize what he's doing, one of the goblins that I dropped when I
You're outside.
Yeah, can I pick one up and throw it at him because I know exactly what he's trying to do?
How do you mean? Oh,
Like
no,
he's trying to keep himself. He's trying to keep himself raging.
Oh
so
no. I say you know what this looks like because you've seen it before. It is a berserker who's so lost in rage that he cannot tell friends or allies apart.
All right, that's fine then. I'm gonna. How close am I to the nearest goblin?
You are.
That shithead that was blowing the horn. Can I reach him?
You could, but I'd say you'd have to run past, because there's 6 goblins at the moment and they're kind of closing in on you. So I'd say you draw attacks opportunity from running past 2.
Then I'm just going to run to the nearest goblin and just try to cave in his head with my fist.
Okay. And by cave in his head, do you mean lethal?
No, he's got a non-lethally cave in his face.
Well, I mean, I just say let the dice land where they land. He's being fought. He's not using weapons.
I mean, it's using. Keep in mind, it's not just weapons. It's also killing people is also a.
Well, if that had been explained to him, then yes, he would just elbow one in the face so it's not moving anymore.
Okay, unarmed attack. And it is a D4 now because he hit someone on the last turn.
So I'm going to roll a strength +2. After this, I'll add the thing to it, but for now. So 15.
That is a hit. These ones are holding shields, but despite their shields, you still manage to hit them.
So 5.
Yeah, you knock him sideways. He lands, sprawls on the ground, gets back up again. Looks bloody, but you didn't manage to knock him out with one punch.
What's up to you if you would let me retcon it? If I'm going to charge towards 6 goblins, I would have raged prior.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not that dumb. Would have been a +2, so it would have been 7.
7 would have knocked him out. So yeah, you in your rage you kick him. He lands sprawling across the ground. He looks to try and scramble back to his feet, but then just falls over again and then just lies.
It would have been like Leonidas in 300, where he just sternum kicks that one dude into the pit.
How?
Okay, so the goblin inside is fucked off, hasn't he?
All the other goblins outside let out shrilling warbles, like a shared one, like a group one. Talos, were you the one that's wearing the earrings?
Yes.
So you hear all the goblins outside let out a war cry, and they shout out, "For the Great Wolf!" But to the rest of you, it just sounds like goblin gibberish.
Okay, so the only sort of conscious hostile inside is the guy right in front of me, isn't it?
Yep.
The goblins outside, are they on the roof still? Or
there's 6 on the ground, kind of half semi-surrounded. No, 5 on the ground, half semi-surrounded Hano. And then there's 5 or 6 from what you can tell up around the various roofs, looking ready to, drawing short bows and knocking arrows, ready to turn Hano into a pincushion.
Shit. I have no idea what to do here. What's Mr. Fitzgerald doing? Is he just cowering in the corner? Or
You've actually seen him run into like one of the back rooms, and as you watch, he comes back out, and he's got a double-barrel shotgun under his arm, and he seems to be fumbling at a box of shells, and the shells are distinctive in the sense that actually you can see the writing on the sides of the shells, and they say rock salt.
Okay. How far away is the house the goblins are on?
They are close enough for any kind of like.
I know, but I want to sort of run behind the house and then use my next turn to start climbing.
Oh yeah, you can do that within the next turn. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to use my action to disengage, and I want to sort of try run somewhere alongside the house so I can press myself up against the wall.
Yeah,
if that's doable.
I'd say with your disengage, and if you don't plan on engaging any of the goblins and you just want to get around the house, you can either get around one of the houses with 4 goblins on top of it, or you can get to the goblin who blew the horn, who's down like a side alley.
Is there anyone else with the goblin that I see?
The one of the horn?
Yeah.
No, he's
Okay.
alone by himself down like an alleyway.
Let's run toward him then.
So you disengage, you run past the skirmish line. One of them has just been kicked out of the way by Hanu. You take advantage of the gap in the line and you slip through. One of them tries to intercept you, but you're too fast for him. And you run right up to this guy who's just packing away his horn, looking a little bit smug. Goblin smug.
That's the worst kind of smug.
And he shouts at you. And you don't know this, but Tylos can hear him say, "Yeah, you want to fuck with smug, huh?"
Yeah, fuck you too, lad.
Tylos, your turn.
Are they on in a big group up on the roof?
4 of them are, yes.
Great, I'll cast sleep on those guys as well. Like, I'm still trying not to kill anybody. And I think, well, if I cast Firebolt at someone, they'll incinerate, so that's probably not going to do a good job.
Alright, roll sleep. Oh, wow. So 3 of them fall unconscious as you throw out your arms and or whatever incantation you perform. There's like a... Is it visual? Like, is there any visual component to sleep, or do they just fall asleep?
I mean, there's a visual component in my hands, but nothing, like, they would just, like, really tired all of a sudden and just, like, pass out.
Yeah. So one of them falls straight off the roof. He lands on the ground. There's a sickening thud, and he doesn't move, and you're not sure if he's still unconscious or if he's dead.
Didn't kill him, though, so...
Yeah, technically that was gravity.
I mean, it could be argued. No. Luna, inevitable bear.
She's staying on the goblin.
Okay. The goblin who's unconscious.
Yes.
Okay. Right, and then the goblins, the remaining 3 goblins, knock arrows, and they shoot at Hanu. Actually, let me roll something. Okay, yeah, actually. So Hanu, as you kick this goblin out of the way, and this elven friend of yours, this elven acquaintance of yours, workmate of yours, goes zooming past you into the alleyway, and you hear some sort of rude shouting back and forwards. You look up and you see the 3 goblins with a heightened position got you dead to rights, drawing back wicked-looking short bows of black-fletched arrows, and you kind of gulp because they are in a fairly good position, and like I said, they have you dead to rights. And from out of the west, down one of the major roads, you hear someone shout in a authoritative tone. Halt! In the name of Nexi! And you glance over, and I'm not sure. I'll let you decide. But I'm not sure if you've ever seen an auditor before.
Would they have been like described to him when he came up from the tether and signed all that information?
Yeah. I think that the elders would have told you, auditors are Nexus, like the big guys. Like, don't fuck with them. Like, be respectful, and they're the top dogs. They're not like to be fucked with. Yeah, Tylos, you've definitely seen one. So yeah, you see this auditor dressed in black robes, like almost armor. It's like a robe, but it's almost form fitting as well, like armor. Has white gold accents, like around the edges of the various pieces of his clothing. He's holding this staff in his left hand that comes up to it almost looks like a cane, but it's a bit taller than a cane. It comes up to his chest level, and in his left hand he's holding a rather so in his left hand he's holding nothing, but he's holding his hand up in a halt gesture, and on his palm you can see is an index, but it's an index unlike that you've ever seen before. The index is currently flaring with this incandescent light. Like it's like 8 a.m. here at the moment, so the sun's up, but the light in his hand that's coming forth from this index is brighter than the current sun that's up so far, and it's like illuminating. It's casting this street and everything in it in this monochromatic like whiteness that's so white that it's like washing out the various grays and colors, and everything just appears in a monochrome of white. And yeah, those of you who are inside, it's almost like someone. It's hard to describe this monochromatic whiteness, but it's a whiteness that washes out color. You can see it through the various windows and the open door, and these shafts of light that just like seem to wash out all the color that everything illuminates on. And the goblins see this, and the 3 goblins up top turn, and they point their arrows at this figure holding up this auditor holding up his hand, and one of them goes to like let loose the arrow, and this weird thing happens. You can see it clearly. The rest of you, I'll let you decide if you're in a position to see it or not. But the goblin goes to shoot his bow, and there's a flare of light from like an even brighter flare of light momentarily from the dude's hands, and the goblin's right foot kicks loose a roof tile, and he slips. And as he slips, he lets loose his short bow, and he puts an arrow directly through his buddy to his left, right through his ears. And that goblin topples forwards, and there's this like hook that's on his breastplate, on his leather like studded armor, this nasty looking like fish hook barb thing. As he topples forward, it catches the goblin in front of him's belt, and his toppling dead weight momentum drags this goblin off the roof with him. And as this goblin flails to go and grab onto like a gutter or something, his flailing hand latches onto the first goblin's foot who fired the arrow through his friend, and tears his feet out from underneath him, and the goblin falls down, smacks his forehead against the chimney, passes out, and then falls off the roof with the others. And they all land in a pile, splat, splat, splat. And by splat, 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 I mean they land directly next to Hale, crushing the goblin that she's standing beside. And with a space of a moment, all of the goblins are dead or unconscious.
I'll stop, but I'll be sad because I was going to chuck one of the down goblins at one of the 3 on the roof. but he's the boss, so I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, and he steps closer and he says, "What is the meaning of this?"
I don't know, brother. I was told you guys don't have scraps up here, but apparently you do. That you should have let me finish them. It would have been great.
And Mr. Fitzgerald comes running outside. He sees the auditor, and he hastily puts the shotgun down and aside on the door frame, and he says to the auditor, "Ah, Auditor Simmons." And the auditor nods his head and he says, "Fitzgerald, what's going on here?" And Simmons, Fitzgerald says, "I don't know. I was talking to, you know how I was putting together a Wayfarer team." The auditor nods his head gravely. He says, these two ladies, these two gentlemen," and he gestures behind him to, he gestures towards Hal, Honu, and Tylos, and then he goes to gesture towards Luna, and then is confused for a moment because there's a bear. And then he says,
I hand the auditor the goblin.
You drag the unconscious goblin out onto the street and just deposit him at the auditor's feet?
Yes.
He raises an eyebrow but doesn't otherwise remark. And he says, yes, these four are my new partners. But as for these people, and by the way, you look back, and the Goliath barbarian person is a barbarian statue. As in, he's made of stone. As in,
I'm gonna go knock on it. I said, this guy was alive a minute ago.
How hard do you knock on it?
I tap on it, rap on it with my finger.
Mr. Fitzgerald, kind of, while in conversation with the auditor, kind of gives you a wave off, as in stop doing that. Oi, cut that out. And yeah, they have a brief conversation. Mr. Fitzgerald seems to be covering for you guys and explaining that you guys weren't involved in the violence, and these guys just started fighting in the streets, and the fight broke out into the shop. And then he starts moving into that territory, who's going to pay for all this, and blah 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 blah, that kind of thing. And finally you see the auditor finish his negotiation / conversation with Mr. Fitzgerald. He does something, with a wave of his hand, and the statue, while still remaining a statue, starts moving. Honu, it gives you kind of a fright because it's a walking statue.
What the hell?
And the statue walks out onto the street and then goes to stand beside the auditor, kind of obediently. And while the various goblin bodies turn also into stone, and then get up off the ground and start to file in beside the auditor. And it's quite disturbing looking because some of them have half their heads caved in from falling from the roof.
Has Hal seen this kind of shit happen before?
I'll leave that up to you.
I just don't know if it's a common sight or not when an auditor shows up.
It's not a common sight because auditors don't typically intervene unless people start fighting in the streets. But it's entirely possible. Yes, you've lived quite a long life. Yeah, you've seen this once or twice before. Auditors show up and then
still creepy as shit. But...
yeah, people who keep fighting end up weirdly having weird accidents and taking each other out and knocking themselves unconscious. But yeah, there's a goblin statue with an arrow through his head, and they kind of walk, and all these statues walk until they line up. And then as the auditor finishes his conversation with Mr. Fitzgerald and looks to be letting you guys off the hook and getting ready to leave with these offenders, the auditor stops for a moment and then turns back to you lot and says, actually, before I head back to the situation at Shifting Sands, I should give you guys the warning that the situation at Shifting Sands is deteriorating rapidly. If you have any second thoughts about coming out here to Verdant Green, I suggest you head back there now, as we're going to put the Enclave into a special lockdown for the next foreseeable week or two as we sort out the situation. He looks to each of you as if is any of you going to be leaving?
I came here to do a job. I plan on doing it. Understood, sir. Thank you for the heads up.
He nods and he says, yes, whilst you're here, I should make it aware as you're about to head down thither that we're missing. You're not the first Wayfarer team that has set up shop here in Verdant Green. There's a previous crew from Rex. Where were they from?
From the place thing. Fuck.
Scroll. It was.
It just says Windshore Adventure Company?
Yep, that's right. Yes, we have a previous Wayfarer team from Windshore, and they're long overdue, about 2 weeks or so. They were last seen headed out west, following the river downstreams, out the Anchor House. If you find yourself out that way, I would be much obliged if you were to keep an eye out for this missing group. There's a standing reward out for their location. I believe I said it was 1,000 gold, right, Rex?
It might have been 10. I'll double check.
No, it was 1,000. It wouldn't have been 10,000. It was an RP. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, 1,000. You're right.
Yeah. So he says there's a standing offer of 1,000 glimmers to the crew that can ascertain it to what happened to them. I've already got some of their higher ups making a nuisance of themselves. I'd like to get it cleared up as soon as possible. If you can do that, I'd be much obliged. Mr. Fitzgerald nods and says, Yes. If they go out that way, I'll make sure I note it down in their log. The auditor, Simmons, nods at each of you, and he says, "Very well. Please keep out of trouble. If anything comes of this, Mr. Fitzgerald, I'm sure this Zerker here," he taps the Goliath, "will be more than happy to pay for damages." And then after a bit more of an exchange, Simmons nods at each of you, like a respectful nod. Not really. You don't detect any condescension involved. It just seems like a good day. And he heads off with this Pied Piper march of kind of gruesome looking statues of goblins and this Goliath person following behind him. And Mr. Fitzgerald lets out a sigh and he says, "Wow, that was more excitement than I was looking for a easy morning." He beams at each of you and he says, "You handled yourself well."
Had that guy in the black robes not shown up, it would have been a lot more fun.
Not quite sure if I agree with your definition of fun, but
He glances down at the bear with the baby bears.
Where does bear come from?
Yes, I should have mentioned. Miss Luna here is a druid. I think they are able to summon bears, and he looks around as if he's looking for Luna.
Tilts its head at him.
Arrgh.
And
And he says,
you see it slowly transform back into a little girl.
"Oh, wow! That's
pretty neat.
that's fantastic."
That's amazing.
But yes, I thank you all for not fighting. That I would have hated to had to hire legal representation and go through all the rigmarole of getting you guys out of the lockup. I'm not sure what those goblins were about. There was nothing in the surveyors' reports about goblin tribes in this area. Perhaps you should keep an eye out when you're down there.
You reckon they know we're up to something?
Mm-hmm. It seemed like they had an issue with the Goliath, with the barbarian.
Do you know anything about that missing group down there? Like what they looked like or who they was?
Yes. I did hear of this. And he holds up a hand. And he says, one moment. And he runs into his office and comes back a moment later. And he's got like some sort of like a broad sheet, like one of those ones that people stick up on notice boards. And it says, missing Wayfarer Group, Windshore Adventure Company, 4 missing members, and it has a description of each member. Actually, sorry, 5 missing company members, and it has each description. They're all elves, 2 females, 3 males, of various descriptions. And it says at the bottom, reward 1,000 glimmers for the information or location of missing crew. Seek more information at local Nexi branch.
Do we want to go talk to those folk about finding the lost folk?
Mr. Fitzgerald shakes his head and says, "No, I did ask. I did ask Denny down at the Stumblein Tavern, and yes, I reused that name because I love it.
I love that name.
I've heard the Stumble In before.
But yes, I've talked to him, and from what I gathered, there's not much more information than what's written on here. They did head down. They did head out of town, going southwest downriver, about 2 weeks ago. I mean, I hate to say this, but the Windshore group, they're not slackers. They know their business. So, 1,000 gold is 1,000 gold. I'll leave it up to you if you want to go poking in that direction.
Well, we need to start poking in some direction, don't we?
Yeah, it's as good a place as any.
Hey, that's what I was thinking.
Tylos, you've been rather quiet.
I'm always quite quiet.
I mean, you're not now. You're talking.
I'll just look at you.
I got you there.
The elf smiles and steps finger guns at him. Like, gotcha.
I'm just going to go back to reading through the contract.
He's fun. I like him.
But yeah, once you all sign the contract, Mr. Fitzgerald offers to shake each of your hands. And then he
Do we need to roll for that?
No. And then he taps something on the company the company decks that he offered you guys, and you see that you guys have an existing balance of 400 glimmers. And he says it's not much, but Denny runs a bit of a side business down at Stumbling Tavern on various venturing assortment gear, ropes, canvases, tents, that kind of thing. If you require outfitting, I suggest that's the best place to look.
That'd be a good idea.
As for current order of business, there are additional requests, by the way. And he taps his pipe, and he reaches back over to the bookcase, and he pulls down a ledger, and he flips it open in front of you, and flips it a couple of pages to the front, and he turns around and shows it to you guys. And he says, "There's not much yet, but here." And he flips it to you guys, and I'll just click it and show it to you. Currently, there are 2 requests by 2 companies. A company calling it South Hole Lumber. And South Hole Lumber has interest in this area because it's reported to be heavily forested. They want to establish some sort of a lumbering operation here, and they want you to find locations of like heartwoods and rare trees and stuff like that in this area, and mark them down. And they're offering a payment of some kind to be negotiated.
Luna looks very opposed to that one. Yeah.
And then there's another group that's some of you may have heard of, some of you may not. They're known for their quality leatherworks, called Pedoshan Furrier and Game. But their specific interest here today is that they're looking to establish some sort of like a hunting preserve, nature preserve in this area. Obviously, to them, you can kind of tell that like it's not necessarily that they're like a conservationist group. They're more interested in setting up an area almost like farming, but it's for hunting and game. So like taking care of the local wildlife so that like hunting won't deplete their stocks, but taking care of them in such a way so that there's always the opportunity to gather hides and game from this area. And they want you to find location of uncommon game and sources of natural springs and water sources and etc. And they're offering again like some sort of like a fee for depending on what you find. And if you inquire further, Mr. Fitzgerald will explain to you. Typically, these jobs, they range somewhere from a couple of hundred glimmers to 1,000 glimmers, depending on the rarity and the value of the find. I'll leave it up to you. He leans closer and he says, Southall Lumber and Pedalshine have been known to be at each other's throats a little bit. So if you do jobs for one, don't expect the other one to be very pleased.
That sounds really petty.
As large as the city is, as large as the Nexus is, everyone is always looking to expand their fortune and their business. And whilst Nexi, prevents these groups from fighting openly in the streets, they're not without their conflicts elsewhere. But yes, I agree with you, Madame Elf. It is rather petty. Hell, yes. I'll remember that. Old man memories.
Okay. Luna takes this moment to say, I definitely don't want to do the lumber. I'd rather do find the rare game.
I want to fight more goblins. That wasn't nearly enough.
I mean, I feel like it's best to consider things as we come across them, isn't it? Like, we're not just going to go, hey, in this direction there's a forest, let's go there.
Hey, you know what? Mr. Fitzgerald speaks up and says, and he points towards the binoculars that you have. Nothing stops you from just recording the locations of which and then just sitting on it. You don't necessarily have to disclose the information that you find. You could always change your mind later.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but Luna still says she's against the lumber because if you mine ancient trees, we no longer have the ancient trees. Meanwhile, the furriers will take care of the local game, and there'll always be more local game.
I just want to get out there. I don't care, brothers, sister. Let's just go. Sister's brother. My bad. I'm not used to elves. No offense.
That's fine.
And he would offer to shake everyone's hand in the room, and if they didn't, he'd kind of give them an evil eye.
Take a bath first.
I have something I must do in the forest.
Well, that's very ominous, isn't it? What are you doing?
Actually, Honu, go stand outside.
He would go stand outside.
She casts
Hold
What
on
am
a
I
a
great
second.
supposed
water
to do,
spell
little
on him.
bear lady?
It starts raining, Hanu, and you look up, and it's just centered on you. Like,
Well, it's my good day. It's my lucky day. It's because I ran into Little Gnome. I should have rubbed his head, and he'll just start like washing himself with the rainwater.
yeah. Because like crave water just creates like rain, right? And it's
Basically.
centered like 20-foot radius or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like the rest of the street is dry and it's just this like random cone of rain that's coming down. Private shower. You get a couple of strange looks from just various travelers who are coming down the
I'm
road.
used to it. Everyone looks at me strange here.
Yeah, so... No, go ahead, Rex.
So, hold on, you can't just say, hey, I've got something to do in the forest, and then just go all silent on us. What's that about?
I have a test I must pass from the academy.
What, like a multi-choice quest?
Those are the best
I'm not-
kind.
A multi-choice that takes me into the forest, yes.
Right.
You have to go left or right.
It's a very ominous quest they gave me.
Oh, okay, so it's left then.
Yes.
I'll walk behind you and hum some spooky music if you like.
That would
You know,
be
to help with your ominous nature.
that would be great, actually.
Not a problem.
Would
Just go back to ignoring them.
would someone who is inside actually, you know what, Hanu, roll me a 1d100.
You got it. 83. It's a good year. It's the year I was born.
Excellent. Roll me a 1d20. Add a +2 to it. Actually, yeah, +2.
9.
Hmm.
That sounds ominous.
Your passive perception is 12.
That it is.
Okay. You don't notice the trap. Never mind. Continue.
Just gonna wash myself.
Alright, so what's...
This water don't taste as salty as it does back home, and I'll start gargling it and spitting it out on the road.
It's odorless, saltless water. It tastes clean.
Yeah. Bag of whale bones, all the water's salty.
I mean, there is freshwater springs up on the cliffside.
Yeah, but you don't wash yourself in it.
That's drinking
Drinking
water. That's
water.
like important. But yeah, this is a lesson that I'm taking from Sunstalkers. Is at this point, I'm just going to ask what you guys want to do instead of like telling you what options. What's next, guys?
Down tether, probably.
Yeah, probably down tether to go find trouble, cause
Well,
trouble.
didn't we? It's
down the
kind of
door.
funny that Hanu's the one saying this, but didn't we want to go get supplies? Then go down
Yes.
tether?
Yeah, supplies then down tether.
Supplies is down tether, by the way.
Oh,
Here's
well,
the
Down
I
tether
accept
to
my
the
fate.
supply store.
Hal would know this, but the Stumbling Inn Tavern is directly outside the anchor stone down tether.
And then I would mention I'd come back in just probably drenched down tether. We can fight down tether, right? And no one cares.
I mean, you
Yes.
local laws and whatnot, but yeah.
Let's go
that's
down
a good
tether.
one.
Don't go around punching guards, but and expect anyone who you punch to punch back. But yeah,
Well, that's if they're not going to punch back. There's no fun in it.
I hear that.
Mr. Fitzgerald looks at each of you, and then he turns to Tylos and says, "Here, lad, maybe you could use this down there better than I could." And he hands you the shotgun and the box of shells.
I definitely could use something a little bit more subtle. Thank you, and I'll take it. And
But
then
yeah,
the shells.
it's
I'm really not sure I agree with your definition of subtlety. But alright.
You haven't seen me cast a spell yet, have you?
I don't even know what that word means, guys. But let's go.
But yes, it's a hunting shotgun. It's a simple range weapon. It uses the dexterity dice, obviously, because it's a range weapon. It deals 1d10 bludgeoning damage. And at the moment, he's handed you a box, which is 10 shells of rock salt shells, which means that it does 1d10 damage, but the damage is always non-lethal bludgeoning. It has a range of 30 to 80 range increment. It has 2 shots per reload. In order to reload, it'll take you a bonus action. It is two-handed. It is finesse, so you can use both strength and dexterity to fire it if you choose to. And if the special for the hunting shotgun is that if the target is directly adjacent to you, they suffer double damage on hit. But it also means that you'll be firing disadvantage because range adjacency.
I don't know, but I feel like a badass holding it.
Yeah. So feel free to add that to your inventory. Luna, do you want me to throw you a sheet to keep track of?
I'm working on it right now. Oh, but on that one, yeah. I'm going to do a Google document as well, though.
Okay. There you go. Do you see it?
No.
It should be under your folder, and it's called Company
Oh,
Decks.
there it is, yep. Okay.
And I'll just add to it. It currently has 400 glimmers.
And we can only put metal and gems in there, basically?
Precious metals and gems, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys, after exchanging, farewells with Mr. Fitzgerald, while he starts sweeping up, well, he doesn't sweep it up, but some invisible force holding a pen and a brush starts sweeping up the broken glass and wood, while he stands there and watches, smoking a pipe. You guys leave to head to the anchor house, to head down tether. You arrive at the anchor house. Like I said, it is this large, like a 50-foot radius, maybe not 50-foot radius, 25-foot radius, 50 feet diameter, Pantheonic dome-like structure with like Roman pillars. The platform is up at the moment. There's this central passenger house that's wrapped around the tether cable, as well as a large cargo outer platform area. You make your way inside to the passenger area. There's seating for about 50 people. Currently, as it's currently under boarding, and by the time it leaves, it fills up to about half capacity. So there's about 20, 30 people on there. Most of them look like to be like local guardsmen, perhaps going on shift to patrol the town down under, or the settlement down under. About another half of them looks to be sorry. 4 or 5 of them looks to be guardsmen. About 10 to 15 of them look like some sort of general labor, like warehouse workers or something, like big burly types, men and women. There are 4 other people who have a similar disposition to you lot, as in they're dressed in outdoorsy type clothing, not necessarily wayfarers, but rangers of some kind, like outdoors types of some kind. And there's a dude in a cloak and hood reading a book, sitting by himself, ignoring everyone else.
Is he smoking a pipe?
Yeah.
No, he's not smoking a pipe.
I am.
So it's not Aragorn. Okay.
No, it's not Aragorn. But he you don't have to roll an insight check. He's not being shady or anything. He's just off by himself, in a cloak and hood, reading a book. And there's 2 halflings playing with some knucklebones. They appear to be adults. They're ignoring the seating, and they're just on the floor playing knucklebones. And as the platform goes through its descent protocols, the much familiar voice of the chipper, happy Nexi comes over the public, some sort of through the air, speaking from midair, and starts going through the spiel that I've gone off through in the RP. Please find your seating. Fasten your seatbelts, whatever. Make sure your tray's in the upright lock position. Your emergency levitation zones are located underneath your seat. In the event of an emergency, please assist yourself before assisting others, etc., etc., etc. Don't stick your hands out over the edge of the platform. Be careful that cargo may shift and move during the descent. Be careful when retrieving your baggage, etc., etc. You guys have all heard this shit before, right? Everyone's been on the plane?
I've heard it once, literally once on the way up.
I'll share a video with you later, Rum, okay?
No, I'm sorry, RP, and I've heard it once. Out of RP, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys are descending during the day, so you get quite a view of Verdant Green. And the name is not wrong. It is very green.
Everything's so fucking green.
Let me chuck you to this page.
You hear Luna
Let me
goes,
know.
"It's so green, isn't it wonderful? It's so pretty."
It needs some water. It needs an ocean, brother, sister.
Let me see if the sight radius things are correct for you guys.
I can see shiny things in the distance.
All right, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yep. All right, so as you're descending, you see below you there's a small settlement built at the base of the anchor house. Directly to your east is a low mountain range that is kind of in a half semicircular cup position, with a valleyway running through between the mountain range, and a low hills to the west. The flow of the river comes from the north, and it's flowing southwest, which is the direction that you heard the Windshore Company headed off in. In that direction, the river appears to feed into a small lake of some sort. This lake looks like a junction point between multiple flows coming from the northwest direction, and it appears to feed out to the southwest direction before looping back around to feed directly into the ocean towards the east, past the Cup Mountain Range, which you can see over at the moment because you're up so high. To the northeast, there appears to be another set of tributary rivers that feed to another outlet somewhere. To the northwest, where the river running through Verdant Green, the anchor of Verdant Green Anchor, it seems to come from a large plateau lake up on like a mountain range. Itself is being fed by several waterfalls that come from even higher up on the mountain range. And then far, far, far to the northwest, you can see the peaks of four snowy peaks of quite broad mountain ranges. One in particular, this one, is the tallest. Towards the northeast, at several points of locations, and I can point you in the general location. Actually, I'll draw circles in the general location. Tell me if you can see this or not. Actually, sure, there'll be squares. Why not?
Okay, I see a square.
I'll put it as purple. Purple squares. You can see smoke. Wood smoke coming from like trails of it, wisps of it, in the morning light coming up from between the trees. Not substantial, but also not trivial. Something that you would expect from a couple of campfires, maybe a dozen. And to the southwest, in this collection lake, you can see some metallic object sticking out of the river. It's hard to make out the detail at this range because it's quite far away, but you can see the reflections of the morning sunlight glinting off it, and it seems to be a little bit out in the middle of the lake. It's close to one of the peninsulas that stick into the lake. But every now and then, the sun reflects off it in an odd angle and glints against you. And you actually see it, you hear a couple of passengers point it out and so on. I wonder what that is. Looks to be something metal. I reckon it's brass.
Take a picture of it. You can do your wee picture thing, can't you?
Yeah, she can. I mean, sorry. Who's got it, by the way? I forget.
Who's got what?
Is it Honu?
It's Honu, right?
Yeah, I got the whatchamajigger, the
Surveyor.
Yeah, surveyor. That's what it's called.
So you're gonna take a picture of it?
Absolutely, I'm gonna take a picture of everything. Once he figures out how to take a picture of anything, he's gonna take literally a picture of everything himself. Maybe a selfie if he can figure it out. His party, the elevator, the trip from the trip to the elevator down, and just everything. They're going to get more than they wanted with him. But definitely that everything around him.
You're gonna be the most annoying surveyor that they have to deal with ever. It's like
pretty much.
Yeah, but
90% of the photos are junk photos.
Hell's probably chasing him around like, hey, take a picture of that. Oh, take another picture just to be shade.
You know what? I better get Burger. That's a good idea. Let's get another one over here. Look at that. Here, you know what? Let's try it like this. Ooh, that's way better.
If you like turn it on the angle, you might get a better perspective.
You know what? Here, get on my shoulders. I'm gonna give it to you. You stand on my shoulders and take a picture of it from the top. It'll be
Fuck
great.
yeah. Hal's gonna jump on the shoulders and take a picture from the top. Horribly fucking dangerous. Let's do it.
We're
Luna
like
wants to
dwarves.
join in.
Luna, you get on his shoulders. You get even higher. Don't turn into a bear, though. I can't hold. I mean, I'm strong, but he may not be. He might not be able to hold a bear.
She climbs like a squirrel.
You know what? If he's on my shoulders and she wants to, I will literally toss her on top of his shoulders.
For the
Like,
record,
up you go, little one.
Hal got her levitation stone before doing this. I want to specify that.
Okay. So no, I won't make you guys roll for checks or anything. You guys climb into Hanu at the bottom, Hal on top of his shoulders, and then you get weird looks. By the way, like you get quite a few weird looks.
Once
Fuck
again,
those
Hanu's
people.
used to it. He's literally wearing a sarong and sandals. That's it.
And then Luna climbs on top of Hal, and then these bunch of like weird like squirrels and chipmunks and weasels like climb on top of Luna and sit on her shoulder and head. And together you just make the weirdest fucking totem pole ever. And Tylos is just sitting by reading a book or something,
The
ignoring you
pictures
guys.
we get are amazing. I'm just going. I feel like the pictures are the best.
What does Tylos look like again?
A grumpy old man.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Awesome. So Hal looks like my mama, and then I have a grandpa. Then I have the fun uncle as well. Got it. Okay.
I mean, Hal looks like she's probably like late teens or early 20s. Fucking elves, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm 2.5 feet tall.
Fair point.
Yeah, I mean, Hanu seems like he's pretty. He seems naive. He's very naive. He doesn't know a lot about the world, but he's well built to handle the world he doesn't understand.
All right. Luna, Hal, and Honu, I would like for each of you to roll me a perception roll. Luna, I will give you double advantage because you're above two people. Hal, I'll give you single advantage.
Do I have disadvantage because I'm at the bottom?
No, you just get a normal roll.
I want to find
disadvantage 'cause
the
I'm
most
just bad at
richest
paying
looking
attention.
lady. I want to find the most richest looking
Yes.
lady and stare her straight in the eyes and goes, "I was an accident."
Roll again, Luna.
Hanu didn't hear that because he would start laughing, belly laughing.
And I will, Peter, Tylos, I will allow you to roll this as well, despite the fact that you're. I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing?
Probably
I'm watching
mapping out
them.
the area.
Okay.
I'm watching them and taking note of everything like on the other side. So they're
Okay.
looking one way, I'm going to look the other way. The
Okay.
complete opposite way of whatever they're doing.
Roll me at advantage as well, perception. So we got 19, we got 21, and we got 22. Amazing. So, Tylos, you're the cartographer, so you take
I'm
in
the
your mind.
cartographer.
So,
I'm the voice
oh, yes, okay.
negotiator.
Well, maybe it's because you're looking in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I'm trying not to pay attention to these guys. Though
So-
my cat is now like swirling around his feet.
Wait, I thought
On
the
his
cat was
feet.
in my
Don't
backpack.
see- I don't sink as bad as fish as I did before, but we haven't been to the supply shop yet.
Yeah, so Tylos, Hal, and Luna, maybe it's because you're stuck under two people and a bunch of animals, and you've got a cat that's trying to murder you by tripping you. So you don't spot any of this, but Luna, Hal, and Tylos, and I'll get to Tylos last because you spot an extra thing. But the three of you see that on this island, on this plateau lake up on the mountains, there appears to be an oddly colored island.
Like colourful? Oddly
Yes.
coloured or like
Pinks, yellows, strange hues. Not
I noted that
something
down on my book.
you would
Hal
expect.
stares at the thing.
You see in the southeast, at the coastline, Can you see that far?
Yes.
Barely.
Your vision is augmented at the moment because you're coming down the tether. Once you get to the ground, I'll restrict your vision some more. But yeah, you can see past this Cup mountain range. Down at the seacoast, you can see every now and then the flickers of something like not small, flickering through the air, tumbling and twisting and turning. Almost like what you would presume to be rather large birds. I've already mentioned that to the northeast you see several signs of campfires. To the southeast, on the opposite side of this Cup mountain range, you can see several patches of like leafless woods, like as if there was a forest fire or something there recently. Scars upon the land is what Luna would see them as. Scars in otherwise this pristine, like virgin green forest. And Tylos specifically, you see that the tallest peak looks to have odd, like they look like clouds, but when you tilt your head one way and you squint kind of in a specific manner, it kind of looks like smoke, as if like like volcano smoke or like precipitation or some sort of thing like that. But it's like it's like cloud. It's like white. It's not like black ash smoke.
Oh, okay. So I'm not worried about the volcanoes erupting.
No. But clearly denotes to you that there's a non-dormant volcano there, but it's not erupting.
Interesting.
Okay, so now we have several notes across the map now. Oh, and we said something metal was in the lake, right?
Correct. Where that purple box
we got
is.
13 pictures of it.
I'll walk up to the group and I'll say, so where do we want to head to first, team?
Well, we want to get the supplies. Well, I would like to go to the lake or the river.
With a metal object?
Well, I have any kind of studies. Like my dad, the chief, he wants me to take notes on the fish we find outside of the village. So I got to do fishing and I got to take notes. But outside of that, I don't care what we do.
Why don't you just take pictures? That'll last.
Well, you got to catch the fish first. Then I'm going to take notes and I'm going to take a picture. You take a whole bunch of pictures. You know what? You're really small. They look really big if you hold them. You're going to be my little fish holder sister. And they'll kind of pat you on the head. Not like demeaning you, but like just happy you're there.
For that joke alone, Rum, go ahead and mark down inspiration.
You got it.
Fish holder looks bigger. That's one way of
Are they
cheating.
still a totem pole?
I'll leave that up to them.
We're probably down by then.
The totem pole's more fun. I can give the people giving us weird looks and just say I was an accident.
Well, as long as people want to stay on his shoulders, Hanu's got no problem with it. They're not the Islanders he's used to stacking on his shoulders. These guys are nothing.
Honestly, my shoulders are kind of getting tired. It's hard to kill your buzz.
Oh, then I'll just get on his shoulders, although he might need another bath.
What? I don't. And he starts sniffing his armpits. I don't even stink. I just took a shower like an hour ago.
All right. So
Don't gotta be rude, little sister. That's just not right.
So yeah, you guys get weird looks, but like no one comments or makes anything of it. Mainly, probably because Honu is quite a big guy and he looks intimidating.
He's got a big goofy grin on his face the entire time. He's just happy to be out of the village.
All right. So I will leave. You guys will arrive at the bottom of the anchor house in the anchor village. But I will leave that till next session because we've been running just under 3 hours. But yeah, we'll get the adventure proper started going next week. Actually, no. Actually, that's a question I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys want to play next week or the week after?
I'm down for next week.
I'm down for whenever.
Peter, I don't want to anger your wife.
Every 2 weeks would be perfect if I could. Would be
Okay.
That works.
Okay.
It's not that she's angry if I have an extra week. That's fine.
Just annoyed, yeah. No, just if we do it every week, she'll get irritated.
Yeah, because then she has to look after the kid, and I get the afternoon off, and she's like, "It's not how this works."
Yeah. Well, you know what? Go ahead and go thank Jen for her patience this afternoon. And
She's just not here, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean when she gets back, and then tell her Kev says hi and thanks.
Yep.
He just has the kids in like a dog pen. Or a kennel. I mean, that's what I would do.
I just put him downstairs with the Lego. He'll be fine for 4 or 5 hours, honestly.
Give him some NyQuil or a little bit of bourbon, they go right out.
Maybe I should stop recording this by now.